The power to overcome adversity is within your own thoughts, not in external forces, as Marcus Aurelius wisely put it. Finding stability in a world where feelings can seem like roaring waves is a constant challenge. Learn to control your emotions and face life's challenges head-on by following these 7 Stoic lessons. To kick things off, I'd be grateful if you could give the video a thumbs up so I may keep sharing the Stoic philosophy. Make sure you don't miss a video by subscribing and turning on the bell if you haven't already. The first lesson is to know what you can control. In the midst of life's storms, not the literal sort, but the ones caused by disappointment, unanticipated events, or sudden changes, the Stoics, ancient Greek and Roman philosophers, offered a lesson that seems like a lifeline: the dual nature of control. Envision this. You've gone to great lengths to ensure the success of your outdoor event, but the weather has other plans. It is totally up to you how you choose to respond to the rain. One option is to complain and be angry, but another is to be creative, such as bringing the event inside or viewing the rain as an opportunity for a change of scenery. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus, who rose from humble beginnings as a slave to become a major figure in Greek philosophy, stated it simply: "We can influence certain things, but not others." A profound insight that can change our lives is hidden in this simplicity, though. Countless factors impact our lives on a daily basis. Some of these include the people we surround ourselves with, the books we read, and our daily routines. But many others, like the weather, global events, and the acts of others, are completely beyond of our control. What makes this topic interesting is because, according to the Stoics, our happiness is not dependent on external occurrences, but on our interpretation and reaction to them. In other words, it is not the event itself, but our evaluation of it that gives rise to our feelings. Recall an instance when you encountered adversity. For example, maybe you were not hired for the job you had hoped for. However, looking back, you may have come to see it as a turning point that paved the way for greater success or self-improvement. But how do we put this into practice? To begin, consider whether there is anything you can do about it. Do it if it's a yes, if it's a no. Take this as a chance to learn to accept and adjust. When we fully grasp and embrace this principle, we can reduce needless suffering and sail through life with serenity, knowing that although we can't change the wind, we can modify our sails. The paradox of control provides clarity in a world that can sometimes feel chaotic. It serves as a gentle reminder to put our efforts where they will do the most good, to welcome the calmness that comes from accepting that there are certain things that are just beyond of our reach. Lesson number 2: think through before responding. In the modern era of instantaneous information sharing and consumption, the practice of reflection may appear ancient. We live in a culture that expects instantaneous reactions, but taking a moment to reflect can save us. Countless times throughout our lives, we had to make decisions, some major and some minor. From picking out a restaurant meal to settling on a career path, the range of choices is vast. Our approach to it is what matters. More than the size of the decisions is what really counts. Imagine for a second a situation where you receive a message that really gets under your skin, whether it's a coworker criticizing your job or a casual comment from a friend. Instead of getting caught up in the emotional whirlwind, try stepping back and allowing yourself a momentary detachment. This way, you're not repressing your emotions, but rather giving them room to breathe and be understood, which could be more effective than diving headfirst into defensiveness or rage. Engaging with our ideas and feelings actively is the goal of this reflective exercise, rather than passively accepting or avoiding them. It's about delving into the reasons for my intense emotional response to this comment and discovering what beliefs or experiences are shaping my present state of mind. Consider whether my first response is rooted in my past or the current circumstances. Giving oneself time to contemplate before reacting also allows us to think about other people's points of view, which is a great way to cultivate empathy. Perhaps that friend didn't understand the gravity of their remarks, or that coworker was having a rough day. We can get insight into ourselves and the people around us by taking the time to reflect. This technique can serve as a foundation in relationships. It's amazing how many misunderstandings could be prevented if we just paused to think before responding. Countless bridges could have been constructed rather than destroyed. Clarity, compassion, and connection are discovered in these times of reflection. The capacity to stop and think is also very valuable in professional contexts. Leaders who take the time to think things through before acting are generally well-respected and successful. They have an air of wisdom about them, and the decisions they make after giving it some thought tend to last. When everything seems to be happening at a dizzying pace, taking a moment to contemplate can feel like a revolt. Message that we will not be carried away by the rush of instantaneity, subtle yet strong. A personal pledge to improve our health and the way we engage with the world around us. Essentially, thinking things out before responding isn't merely a discipline, it's a philosophy and a way of life that values depth above breadth, prioritizing comprehension over impulsive and deep ties over superficial encounters. It's an introspective trip with far-reaching consequences that affect not only our reactions, but also the very essence of our lives. Third lesson, practice dispassion. Dispassion may seem like a foreign concept in a society where emotions run both high and low all the time, but let's learn more about its profound significance and the transformational power it possesses. Being emotionally detached or emotionally numb is not what we mean when we talk about being dispassion. Maintaining composure in the face of adversity is the goal. Envision yourself free to take in the world around you, including your own emotions, without letting them control you. Consider the last time you got lost in a fascinating movie. Chances are, you felt a mix of emotions, from joy to sadness. A part of you recognized the whole time that it was merely a movie, even though you were totally engrossed in the tale. Instead of getting up and running to comfort the hero or the character you believed was crying, you stayed put in your seat. Like this, feeling all of life's emotions while staying completely present is the essence of practicing dispassion. Additionally, being able to discern when to sit quietly in your mental theater and observe without being engrossed in the performance. In this day and age of information overload, this method becomes a lifeline. Notifications and news updates hit us daily. We would be continually worn out if we responded strongly to every bit of information. A more sustainable and healthy way to relate with the world is through practicing dispassion, which acts as a barrier. When it comes to connections with other people, dispassion is also key. It's happened to all of us. Arguments and heated discussions. Being impartial in these situations can help you have a fruitful conversation rather than a destructive debate. The ability to listen attentively, reply thoughtfully instead of reacting, and handle disagreements with grace and understanding is a gift. Being mindful of one's own emotional triggers and patterns, as well as checking in with oneself on a regular basis, helps to cultivate dispassion by establishing distance between the stimulus and response. In that space lies the ability to respond consciously, rather than on autopilot. Even though it sounds like distancing oneself from life's pleasures, dispassion really makes them more enjoyable. When we let go of our attachment to the end result, we are free to enjoy the ride without worrying about what the future holds. Finding balance in a world that is constantly shifting is the essence of practicing dispassion. Gracefully navigating life's many terrains is guided by a compass that points to inner peace. Not only does this practice improve our life, but it also helps people around us feel more at peace and clear. The question of whether or not something will be relevant in 5 years follows as the fourth lesson. Disagreements with loved ones and little annoyances like spilled coffee are just 2 examples of the many occasions in life that put our tolerance, fortitude, and perspective to the test. We encounter a wide spectrum of emotions in the course of a typical day. Experiencing intense emotions in the heat of the moment can easily lead us astray. It could seem like the world is ending when an important deadline is missed, a critical comment is made, or an anniversary is ignored. But if we ask ourselves, will this matter in 5 years? We can change our outlook and get clarity. By asking ourselves this one profound question, we can mentally travel to the future while also reliving the here and now. Most of the things we worry about now will be insignificant footnotes in the larger narrative of our lives, but suddenly, that heated disagreement or that wasted chance takes on a new perspective, Ask yourself how many of the concerns and difficulties you had 5 years ago are still relevant now. A flood of new information, insights, and recollections has eclipsed many of them. By asking ourselves this question on a frequent basis, we may better prioritize our issues, which can be a freeing and humbling realization. There are both immediate problems and more far-reaching consequences, and it helps us differentiate between the two. While a particularly terrible day on the job may seem overwhelming right now, that's just how things work in the long run. In a career that spans decades, it's just one day. When we keep the broader view in mind, we are better able to deal with stress and find solutions to problems, which in turn builds resilience. The current difficulty isn't going to stop us from strategizing, adapting, and moving forward. It isn't just about reducing our worries. We must also remember that time usually provides clarity and solutions. Investing in relationships, personal growth, and experiences that last is the key to making decisions and taking actions that matter in the long run. And this question serves as a reminder of that. In a fast-paced society, when everything is about the here and now, asking ourselves what will be important in 5 years might help us find meaning, perspective, and peace in our lives. We can learn to gracefully face life's highs and lows if we keep coming back to this question, making sure that we focus on what matters most. Lesson 5. Maintain a Stoic journal. Not only as a record of events, but also as a tool for reflection, progress, and clarity, journaling has been revered across cultures and stories. The Stoics were familiar with this practice due to their focus on self-awareness and personal improvement. The purpose of keeping a Stoic journal goes beyond recording one's daily activities. It also serves as a forum for introspection, discussion, and analysis of one's feelings, thoughts, and deeds. At this point, one's values and beliefs are considered in light of current events. Envision yourself finishing each day by explaining not only what happened, but also your reaction to each event, and why a certain remark made you feel a certain way. I can't figure out what set out the sudden rush of happiness while doing something boring. We may learn about the habits of our mind by breaking down each day. The things that make us feel a certain way, the principles that direct our actions, and the routines that shape our days become more apparent. Meditations are based on the notebook that the Stoic philosopher and Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius kept. His writings reveal a man struggling with his kingdom, feelings, and position in the universe. They were not intended for publication, but rather as a private conversation in which he could counsel himself, remind himself of Stoic values, and wisely manage the difficulties of his life. A Stoic notebook can be useful for everyone, not just emperors. Carving out space for self-reflection is more important than ever in today's fast-paced, information-overloaded world. In the middle of chaos, a daily check-in can bring clarity. Deep understandings can be attained by consistent practice. When you find that the same things are stressing you out again and time again, it's time to either fix them or find a new way of looking at things. Certain techniques, such as practicing gratitude or mindfulness, have the potential to improve your mood and outlook. You can use the patterns that appear as a guide to help you evolve as an individual. By devoting ourselves to daily reflection, we ensure that we are held responsible for our responses and choices, which goes beyond mere insights. It becomes more difficult to disregard a pattern of errors or to dismiss a loss of judgment. Instead, we are encouraged to adapt, grow, and learn. A Stoic journal is like having a trusted friend who is always there for you, someone who listens, who doesn't pass judgment, and who can help you reflect and grow. It's a promise to better oneself, to learn more about oneself, and to live in accordance with one's ideals and values. The sixth lesson is to look at challenges as chances for growth. Difficulties, both internal and external, from small-scale disappointments to massive global crises, are a constant in life. Now imagine if we could reframe these difficulties as possibilities instead of obstacles. Even if we can't always choose the circumstances that befall us, the Stoics believed that we could choose how we react to and make sense of those circumstances. This shift in perspective transforms challenges from mere setbacks to valuable lessons. A quote by the Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius encapsulates this idea beautifully. The impediment to action advances, action, what stands in the way, becomes the way. In other words, if we look at adversity as a chance to learn and improve, we can overcome any problem. Imagine a river that, rather than being stopped in its tracks by a boulder, instead finds a way around it by gradually eroding the rock or by carving out a new path. Even though it looks like an impediment, the boulder actually acts as a catalyst for change, altering the river's path. Just as obstacles in life can change our course, they can also bring forth results we weren't expecting. For example, although losing one's work is always terrible, it can also open doors to other opportunities, such as a chance to learn new skills or launch one's own business. If a relationship doesn't work out, it might be a stepping stone to future self-discovery, better connections, and growth. When we learn to see setbacks not as failures, but as opportunities, we strengthen our resilience and our ability to adapt and overcome. We shift our focus from wondering why bad things are happening to us to asking what we can learn from these experiences. While this doesn't imply we should actively seek out difficulties or ignore real adversity, it does prompt us to ask how these experiences may improve us. It's about seeing the possibility in every obstacle. In the face of adversity, we have the power to grow, learn, and achieve our dreams if we approach them with optimism, patience, and persistence. The seventh lesson is to be grateful. Gratefulness is a golden thread in the complex web of human emotions, bringing us moments of joy, serenity, and perspective. Although thankfulness can strike at any time, the Stoics advocated making it a habit to consciously acknowledge and be grateful for what one has every day. Expressing gratitude goes beyond mere expressions of gratitude. It delves into a profound recognition of the countless forces, moments, and people that enhance our lives. Understanding that every event is both beautiful and boring, full of lessons and obstacles, and ultimately transient, makes them all the more valuable. True happiness, according to the famous Stoic philosopher Seneca, is living in the now without worrying about the future. The essence of appreciation is being fully present, appreciating every experience, connection, and moment, even the simple pleasures that we often overlook. The sun's warmth on a chilly day, laughing, a shared meal, or even our own breath are all things that bring us joy and fulfillment. These moments are made much more beautiful and meaningful when we take the time to recognize and enjoy them. Gratitude practice also provides a counterpoint to the human tendency to dwell on problems, unfulfilled desires, and future uncertainties. We can improve our health, happiness, and contentment by changing our attention from what we don't have to what we do have. The question of how to develop this habit may arise. Just make a point to write down 3 things you're thankful for every day, whether you start or finish your day that way. A more positive outlook and greater ability to bounce back from setbacks are 2 outcomes that can result from consistent application of this technique. A positive feedback loop of goodwill and compassion is created when people express their appreciation for the acts of kindness, support, or love they receive from others. This deepens relationships and fosters partnerships. Gratitude serves as a subtle reminder of the plenty that already exists in our lives, in a world that frequently places an emphasis on more possessions, more accomplishments, more aspirations. Embrace the present, celebrate it, and walk the path of existence with gratitude in your heart. That is the call to celebration. Another day comes to a close, and with it, the echo of ancient knowledge that persists in our contemporary society. Leave a comment with your ideas on how you may apply these timeless principles to influence your future self, and we will keep exploring this path of self-discovery together. Until we meet again, I hope you had a great time watching the video, and I appreciate you being here.